Go ahead.
Fall is so majestic. Hi, I'm Reza Harry, and today we'll be discussing Francis Harper's classic poem, Aunt Chloe, by interviewing several students here at the University of Portland. Join us, will you? Aha! Born free in Baltimore in 1825, Francis Harper was an African-American abolitionist poet and novel writer. She published her first work, Iola Leroy, at age 67, which was a novel that received acclaim. Now, following the Civil War, which she was alive during, she continued to campaign for African-American rights in the American world. She made a career out of speaking about abolition to large crowds, and she helped slaves with during the Underground Railroad movement. During this work, she gained a reputation of being the mother of African-American journalism through her poetry and works. Now, this poem, Aunt Chloe, it deals with Aunt Chloe, who is a enslaved African-American woman, dealing with the tragedy of her children being sold into slavery. Now, initially, there's the shock of and anguish of, having her children being taken away from her. But she finds solace in the fact that they will be reunited in the afterlife through her Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Hi, I'm here with Caitlin. Now, Caitlin, in regards to social commentary, which do you think is a more effective means of relaying this? Poetry or the more traditional novel/short story format?
I do believe that traditional novels are more effective in regards to social commentary. Poetry, I believe, is more open to interpretation, while novels, they can explicitly say what their beliefs are or what their argument is.
I would have to go with the great classic poem. Shakespeare did it. Chaucer did it.
The Odyssey.
Pluto, Socrates, Ilium, Odyssey, those guys. Great stuff. And they talked about the things that. Could you have read a story about that?
I don't think I could.
Poetry. Poetry.
I would have to say, well, they're both very different, and like poetry involves a lot of symbolism, as does traditional novels, but I feel like in terms of social commentary, traditional novels gets the point across more easily.
I see. Henry?
I'd say in today's day and age, poetry is going to be stronger in creating social commentary. We live in sort of a soundbite society. I'd say whereas like shorter and sweeter is going to get remembered better and passed on easier. So I'd say traditional novels can give the same social commentary, but won't be as effective as society.
Riley?
I believe Jim Morrison would agree that poetry is a lot more beneficial, and I would definitely have to agree with him. Poetry can definitely trigger emotions inside you that other traditional novels might not be able to trigger. And I just think it's more effective because it just trigger something more deep than just traditional novels.
Right on. Finally, Teddy?
I would say that traditional novels and short stories would be more effective than poetry because the general public wouldn't want to put in the time to look at the symbolism in poetry, and I think short stories and novels make it easier to understand.
Awesome. What makes something worth teaching to students in a classroom environment?
I think if the piece is provocative, it inspires a feeling or a mood that is new. It's not a boring piece or something that we can't learn from. Yes, I thought that, let's say, To Kill a Mockingbird was boring, but at the end of the day, I kind of took a step back and I realized it had great messages that my teacher saw, even though she was more mature than me. Like, she saw it, and I, as a young student, did not see it then. So,
let's see.
Again, I'd have to say Symbolism is a huge thing where, like, a story is telling this narrative tale or whatever, and then students can like read into that and see how it applies to real life, or kind of how it, like, how the message comes across, like what's the line underneath.
Henry?
That's a really ambiguous question, so I'm going to say if it's worth reading, it's probably worth teaching.
Short and sweet. Right.
What makes a piece of literature worth teaching? I don't know, I think something that something that can just shift somebody's perspective, I think, on just whatever they're reading about. And
I would say what makes something worth teaching would be literature that has a message that isn't dated, so it's relevant and without the time period we're in. So this message would be beneficial no matter what.
yeah, something that everyone can just take from it, no matter what your race is, what gender you are, or anything like that. Something that sort of just take from this piece of literature and apply it.
Nice. Now, do you still see in modern day society prejudice? Would you say we're a society without prejudice?
I think prejudice is still present, but I do believe that everyone is aware of the prejudice and that we are all looking for an environment without prejudice. But it's a long process and it's still moving.
Oh, okay.
All the time. I mean, we live in a very heteronormative culture where certain people get more privilege or are oppressed more depending on, like, the level of status. And yeah, prejudice and discrimination is intertwined in
I see. Henry?
Class is a form of prejudice.
Yeah.
It's all coming down to this.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, definitely. I would say prejudice still present in today's age. Like, I know, for instance, my roommate, he just pointed out that some people are more prejudiced than people from being out west, because in Louisiana there's a lot more African culture, there's a lot more colored people in there.
Yeah.
And people could be more prejudiced and just not being aware of it, just where they live.
Caitlin, do you believe that heaven is worth a lifetime of suffering?
That is what is promised to those people who do suffer. But I do believe that's also used as an excuse for those who are suffering, like, let's say in slavery or impoverished lives, that if they keep suffering, if they keep working for the upper classes, that it'll be okay. They'll achieve this happiness. I don't believe that people should suffer in order to get to heaven. Would I suffer? I would like to say yes, but being human and being short-sighted, I would have to say no. I don't believe I would suffer 24/7 in my life, even though I was promised heaven.
If heaven's real, then it's worth a lifetime of suffering.
That's true.
I have to agree with Henry. We like kind of highlighted some of the theology class. People who are suffering are kind of like he said, Henry, like Henry said, assuming a heaven is real, it'd be worth it.
If heaven's real, it's definitely worth it. Heaven's supposed to be an eternity.
Nice.
I agree, assuming.
Yeah, I see. Thank you for your time. Bye.